Who are two players the Seattle Mariners should avoid at the trade deadline? Let's talk about it. So I have a very strong feeling there's going to be some disagreements from you guys with this video, but this is just my personal opinion on two guys that the Seattle Mariners should really just avoid at the trade deadline. This video is a little bit pre-recorded because I will be gone for a week, so these stats might not be updated to when you are watching, but these are as they are updated when I'm making this video. And like I said, please feel free to disagree with me and let me know your opinions down in the comments, but these are just my personal opinion, and I really would just avoid these guys at all costs, to be totally honest. So I'm going to start off with the one where I feel like most of you may agree. Maybe not most of you, because there is a large group of people that would love for him to be a Mariner, but there is also a very large group that doesn't really want him to be a Mariner for certain reasons. So that first player that I am referring to is Luis Robert Jr. Well, Luis Robert Jr. is one of the most hyped up players in Major League Baseball because he has the talent to be probably one of the best players to play in this game. But now the problem is that comes with a lot of issues such as injuries and a very, very high strikeout percentage. Let's start off with something that the Mariners already have a lot of on the team, and that is a very bad strikeout problem, and Luis Robert Jr. will not make that any better. He has a career 25.8% strikeout rate, which is well above league average. I believe league average is 22 point something. I'm not sure exactly, but that is still well above league average. This season, even though he started off hot and really has only played in about 27 games, his strikeout percentage is over 34% right now, which is absolutely terrible. But the guy definitely has a lot of potential. He has 81 career home runs, and he really has only played about 4.5 years in the major leagues. In 2023, meaning last season, he hit 38 home runs, which is a ridiculous number to hit, but that was also the only season where he's played over 100 games. Now moving on to his injury history, I'm going to do this in a really annoying way just to show you guys how much injury history he really has in his very minimal time at the major league level. So prepare your eardrums for this. Hand illness, hip, groin, COVID illness, wrist, hamstring, hip, calf, finger, quad, hamstring, hip, calf, finger, quad, knee, hip. So yes, while that was probably very annoying for some of you, that is the amount of injuries he's had in his 4.5 years at the major league level. And to be honest, the Seattle Mariners already have enough injury history on their team with guys like Mitch Garver, Jorge Polanco, who has already been injured for a decent amount so far this season. And another red flag with the whole Luis Robert situation is you will be giving up a lot. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot of players. They said they might compare it to the Juan Soto deal back with the Nationals and the Padres. And the Nationals gave up a lot of prospects and a lot of guys that are playing on their major league team right now, especially guys like CJ Abrams and James Wood, who's going to be making his debut on Monday. And you guys already know my opinion, but I am not a big fan of prospect hugging, so while that doesn't really bother me that they'd be getting rid of prospects, it's more or less the number of players they'd have to get rid of for him. And while he has the potential, like I said, to be probably one of the top players in the game, he really just is injured way too much and strikes out way too much. But the one thing that is also very intriguing with Robert's deal is that he will not be a free agent until the end of 2027, but he does have team options in 2026 and 2027. So that is definitely a little bit intriguing that he will definitely be a Mariner for a decent amount of time if he were to sign with us or get traded to us. Like I said, I do think it would cost a pretty penny to get him, and I really don't know if it's worth it in the long run. So now moving on to the second player, where this might get a decent amount of disagreements, but I'm not really sure, to be honest. And that second player is Bo Bichette. So before some of you yell at me, let me at least tell you why I think that the Mariners should avoid him at the deadline. So in my mind, Bo Bichette is definitely a very fascinating player that the Mariners could acquire at the deadline, especially if the Blue Jays are going to be sellers, as well as his counterpart, possibly Vladdy Jr. But I don't think the Mariners should avoid Vladdy Jr. personally, but the main reason I think they should avoid Bo Bichette is, like I said, he may fit the infield very, very well. He can play anywhere. He can play mainly second base probably because I don't think they would move JP. But the main problem with Bo Bichette is he is really struggling this year. His track record says he's a very good player, which he has been for a few years, but this year he has really fallen downhill for some reason. And we already honestly have enough guys that have regressed, like Mitch Garver and Jorge Polanco. If those guys have just been doing what they've done their entire career, this Mariners lineup would be that much better already. So just to really emphasize how much he's really regressed this season, he's been in the league for a little over 5 years, this being his 6th season in the majors. And never in his career has he hit below 290, and this season he's hitting 233. Also, from 2021 to 2023, he has hit over 20 home runs in each of those seasons, and this season he only has 4 home runs so far. He's also posting a 77 WRC+, where league average is 100, and he's only posting a .4 WAR. Bo Bichette will be a free agent at the end of the 2025 season, so you would get him for the back half of this year as well as all of next year. But the Mariners need a guy that has had a proven track record as well as also not struggling this year, because we have enough guys who have really regressed so far this season. Like we've also talked about our core struggling so far, especially Julio with his slugging. So we've had enough guys that have had proven track records and have come in and just really struggled so far this season, and we do not need another one of those guys. That's why his counterpart, Vladdy Jr., would be a nice addition because he is doing very well this season. While his power is down a little bit in terms of home runs, he is still producing at a very high level, unlike Bo Bichette, who is really, really struggling this season. So that's kind of my opinion on two guys that I think they should really avoid at all costs, especially for the price of them. At that point, you're kind of just getting the name, not necessarily how Bo Bichette is performing this year and how Luis Robert is only hitting 190, mind you, as well, even though he has missed a large amount of time. I just think factoring everything that I just told you guys, I don't think those two guys are worth it, nor do they really make us better as soon as they join, especially because they're struggling themselves. But please let me know your guys' opinion. I know some of you will disagree, but please let me know your opinion and maybe somebody else that you would want to target at the deadline instead. Otherwise, I hope you guys did enjoy the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.